Now, the next area you've got your inventory done. You kind of centralized warehousing, so you know where your stuff is, one single control point. You're doing good practices on your inventory. Now, the next area that you got to look at is how you're going to repair these things. What's the process you're going to go through? The first place we look at is specifications. Hands here, how many people have a repair spec that your repair vendor won? So what are these guys repairing your motors to? What kind of standards? Whatever they want, and there's many out there. So there's the starting point of could be a possible problem area. I'm not saying the guy your repairer's not doing a good job. I'm just saying, what is he repairing it to? What kind of standard? And so we kind of break it into different categories there from the standpoint of, what's the intent of the repair, schedule, relative standards. Are you using IEEE, are you using ESA, are you using NEMA standards, depending on what you're using. Requirements for condition reporting, what are they reporting to you? If you get a motor repaired and you get a report back, are you getting a report back, and what are they giving you? You know what they did? And then the requirements for the repair and overall winding. We find where if you're not detailed enough, you're not going to have that information to be able to really pin down what are they doing for you. And there's a lot of different standards out there. Same with the rotor, requirements for mechanical. If you're in certain applications, are you allowing somebody to, let's say metalize a housing when it shouldn't be metalized in an application? You're allowing that to happen. That could be some of your premature failures that are occurring. And the requirements for verification testing. How are they testing the motor? Are they using full voltage? Are they using partial voltage? You need to know. Are they load testing? Aren't they load testing? Depending on the requirements. And then the next area that we look at, and this is a funny one that I've worked with a lot of different companies, is, and I'll use an example for us. We had a company, one of the steel mills, AK Steel, it happened to be years ago. We had won a contract with them, and we'd been doing work for them for about 2 years, and they never visited us. They never even knew who we were. From the standpoint, we just sold them on it. I came to the guy and I said, hey, I have to be honest with you, I'm just a broker. We really don't have a shop. I'm just a broker. I broker it to a bunch of different shops, and his mouth dropped, and he's going, you're kidding, right? I go, yeah, but that's what's so bad about this. You bought on face value. And I said, I appreciate that, but I said, how many people, are your salesman's coming in, you got a good relationship, he's my buddy. You saw back there, I've been doing business with them for years. Doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong, but to go out and validate those shops, we help people do that. Our management is, we're going to help go out and pick the right vendors for you so that you have the right vendors doing the work. Okay? And yeah, we want to be one of them, and it might seem kind of strange that it's the fox in the hen house, but it's not, because I'll show you how we get around that with pricing and everything, and we help control it all, and it really has saved a lot of companies money. So, when you're looking at your shops, these are the types of things that we're trying to look at. Are they an ESA member to at least start with? That's a good starting point. It's our association, Electrical Apparatus Service Association. It's at least a good starting point, okay? What kind of standards do they follow? If you don't have a spec, what are they repairing your stuff to? If you don't know that, you should ask those questions. How do they repair it? I mean, every person should have a process there that shows you how they're assuring that you're going to get a good, viable spare or repair when it comes back. What's their quality system? All these things. And one of the things that we're seeing now in our industry is there's a new program, the ESA accreditation program. It's a third party, kind of like a ISO system for our motor industry. And it's a third-party accreditor comes out, and you have to meet a certain standard. So you find out, are they ESA accredited, so that you at least know they've hit a standard. Next area is, how are they recording and keeping the data for you? We keep data from the day we were in business, okay? from when my dad started the business, we still have records that far back. And that was prior to electronics. And I'm talking even when we used cameras, the digital, or not digital, but the Instamatic cameras, we got package of pictures in folders that we have that at least gives us history on what's going on with your repair. And our database is very detailed on information, so we can look back 5 years if we found a problem with a motor. We can look back and see if we're repeating the same type of failures so that we can help you determine what's going wrong. So, you know, that's an area that's very important when you're looking at how are they recording and keeping your information. Now, during, you know, since the decision for repairing is a financial one, we talked about it earlier, the cheapest price. So it is financial. It still comes down to finance. You gotta do it economically for the repair in dollars and the quality that you want. So there's different ways of doing that, and this is where we help establish what is kind of a mystery in motor repair. Most people probably send out their motors, somebody quotes them, and they go, seems okay, so they go with it. Unless you're bidding out to 2 or 3 people that you can kind of pick the lowest price. But it doesn't happen very often. It's usually you have a repair that you're using, you get the price, and you go, it looks good, it looks fairly reasonable, I go with it. So what we find is a lot of people just use hourly rate pricing. And we run into this a lot of times in some of the bigger contracts where somebody says, well, this guy's quoting $45 an hour, and this guy's quoting $65, and this guy's quoting $55. So I'm going with the $45 an hour guy. But you're not checking him for time. He's taking twice as long as the guy that's charging you $65 an hour. So it's costing him really more than having some type of fixed pricing. And this is what we recommend, is that after you've done your inventory, you know what you got in production, now you can establish pricing on your major things that go wrong with the motor, and it's fixed pricing, okay? We can tell you that a rewind's going to cost this, a recondition, just cleanup and bearings are going to cost you this. You have a standard cost plus markup on materials. All of these things are defined so that we take the mystery out of the pricing side. And this really helps you too in budgeting for the future. We work with companies right now that plan shutdowns, and they go, okay, what's it going to cost me? And they kind of guess at it. And then when it gets into the shop, there's a lot more wrong with it. What we do is from vibration information, from thermography information, from history, we start to say, hey, history shows that you need to do these things to the motor, so we can put dollars to it so their budget's a lot better. So when they plan, their budgeting is a lot more solid and fine-tuned. And then the other thing that we do is working with people, we fill out what we call a strip report, or we have the other repairers fill out a strip report, and I'm going to show you some samples. Here's a sample AC grid. When you look up there, you see it's kind of covering the common things. You're covering recondition, rewind, repair a shaft, a housing. Those are kind of, on your ACs, kind of your common things that go wrong. So you're trying to cover all that. And each one of those have description, like within recondition, it would include dismantling, pickup, balancing, cleanup, you know, all that stuff's included. There would be a bigger description. I'm just showing you kind of a sample of something. And then the other one is a strip report that details what was done to the motor, so that you have history, and it's not just, it cost me $1,000 or $10,000 to have that motor, and there's a brief description, repaired your motor. It's detailing what we're doing to the motor, or your repairer's doing to the motor. So we help people go through this process and kind of simplify it for everybody.